Hi, everybody. As you know, this is Tim Harris, and I have a guest today, and for our Metaphysician show, and we're talking about the confusing aspects of our society, and I wanted to bring you in on it. Kevin, do you want to talk a little bit about you and what you do and where they can find you?
Absolutely. My name is Kevin Decker. I'm a registered nurse. I've worked as a nurse for over 25 years, bedside, ER, ICU, med surg. I've also worked extensively in managed care. So I have a very unique insight as far as being able to be on both sides of the fence, seeing how the actual beast really operates. I've spent a lot of time in Central America, Guatemala, traveled throughout Europe. So and also grew up in southwestern Colorado on a farm. You learn firsthand the importance of hard work, dedication, having your own name, your own word, just having that rooted values in your life, which has been absolutely critical for me moving forward. Um, and what I do is I have a webpage, built not given, RN slash, or built not given RN.com/home, where I have my own little business. Okay. Where it talks about, health sharing and how we can make a better life choices for ourselves. I'm located on Facebook and on Instagram. Under there, it's known as Decker Essential Services. But one of the topics that I use is because I spent so much time at the bedside and in managed care, I'm in a unique position to be able to explain what is actually occurring, why we have such a massive physician shortage, why is there such a disconnect between what we're told and what actually occurs, why is it that your healthcare premiums keep skyrocketing, going higher and higher and higher, but yet your actual care seems to be going in the opposite direction. So that gives me a very good insight of what's actually occurring and why it's occurring, and a deep-seated understanding of what really can we do to do anything about it. So
Well,
that's
one of the things that I found very interesting, Kevin, was your Instagram page.
right.
You have those shorts, and then you have links to other deeper subjects. But where can they find you on Instagram?
Instagram, it's Decker Essential Services as well.
Okay. So one of the things that we were talking about, Kevin, was the 100-sided die.
Right.
And it seems that we're swimming, whether it's healthcare, finance, business, diplomacy, trade, we seem to be swimming in a sea of people that are minnows. They don't really have answers. And when you ask them directly poignant questions, the people who are administrating a hospital don't understand the healthcare system.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay. There are a lot of sinkholes in our society, whether that be tariffs, and the person who instituted didn't even know how they worked.
Right.
Okay. And we had then on the healthcare side, we have I had to interview administrators. I had to interview administrators, and I found out that the average person that is getting recovered from being overexposed to Mother Nature's weather,
Mm-hmm.
whether they're freezing to death or boiling to death, that recovery process of getting them so that they can push them back out the door costs the taxpayers, because what health insurance does a homeless person have?
Right.
It actually costs the taxpayers somewhere in the neighborhood of $40,000 to $70,000. Let's call that $50,000.
Right.
Every hospital in the country has at least 10 of those a year. And I'm not talking about the ones that show up dead, because then there's nothing they can do.
Right.
But I'm talking about the recovery ones.
Right.
Okay. Kevin, you've been in that business for a while. Am I making this up?
I mean, some hospitals get the vast majority of them. Some of them, as soon as they come in the door, the hospitals will quickly discharge them for some reason, because they don't like to take it in the shorts. because they cannot deny care. But it is absolutely true that we do have a crisis, as people coming in not having coverage. But that's also a direct reflection of how, and people like to use the phrase that the healthcare system is broken. I like to argue the fact that it's actually operating exactly as it was intended to. It wasn't necessarily an accident of incompetence.
Okay. I'm going to give you minutes to explain that as briefly as you can, because you're right. I have used the word, and you've caught me saying the system is broken, but I thought I was just quoting a well-known fact. Go ahead, please.
Well, the assumption is the system is broken. Therefore, if we talk to our elected officials, maybe they can pass a law that will fix it. Okay. And how often
You have heard what I said about politicians, right?
Yeah, I mean, how often does our legislatures actually fix something? They don't. They don't. So stop looking to them as a source of fixing a problem when they're the ones that are actually picking and choosing winners and actually compounding the problem. Okay. Now I can get to a very good, some examples of this. All right. For example, when's the last time you went in and you looked for a physician? How long?
Well, okay. I understand what you're asking, and the average person should shop a physician at least as much as they do their car.
Right.
Okay. Right. Okay. But because, and I'm very big, huge professor and extoller that people need somebody in the hospital room that doesn't, an advocate.
Right.
But besides that, so I know where you're going, and I get it. Most people who work in the system don't understand that we don't have a healthcare system. We have an expense damage control system.
Well, it's more, I wouldn't necessarily sinister, but rather a confluence of interests coming together. Because the last thing we want to do is cure people. Okay. If you cure people, you lose a client. So you have to have managed care. You have to keep.
Oh my God.
It's a blunt reality.
Yeah, it is.
It's a blunt reality. So let's rip off the Band-Aid and tell it the way it is. Because if you cure someone, you lose a client, and you cannot have that. So it's best to manage a condition.
So are they worried they're going to run out of sick people?
It's not necessarily running out of sick people. They just like the people to continue paying them. You got to keep them plugged into the system. Okay. And give you kind of this thing that was going on as far as your physicians are concerned. We know that, oftentimes if you want to get into a physician to see your doctor, you have to wait 2, 3, 4, 5 months sometimes to be able to get in and see a specialist.
Right.
Okay. And
just happened to me.
Yeah. And you're like, okay, why is this happening? Why is it so hard to see a specialist? Well, lo and behold, this was actually engineered crisis. It was engineered to actually be this way. Whether it's between, and it's actually where a lot of shared interests came together to actually orchestrate this. To give you an idea, back in the 1980s, they put together a study, like 800 pages long, where they concluded by the year 1990 that we were going to have 70,000 too many physicians. So in their infinite wisdom, they decided, okay, in order to not have an oversupply of physicians, then we need to restrict admissions into medical school. All right. So they restricted medical school. Then a few years later, they realized, you know what? Because the Balanced Bill Act, remember 1997 with Newt Gingrich and all them talking about balancing the budget? Does that come to memory?
Yes.
Okay. Part of that is the continuation of it to where they says, okay, we need to freeze Medicare funded residency slots. So not only were they restricting the number of physician or students getting into medical school, they're now restricting residency slots or those who actually graduated medical school. And they restricted the residency slots to the 1996 level. Well, newsflash, the US population has increased by 70 million people trying to operate a system based upon physician levels of 1996. Okay, it doesn't take a mathematician to realize this is not a good idea.
Well, it might not take a mathematician, but this is something I have never heard before.
It's insane. It's
okay. And Kevin, I'm not calling you wrong.
No, yeah.
Okay. I mean, for example, the farm bill that they just passed.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody stood up, got their pictures taken because they love family farms. I got to tell you,
yeah,
this was such a good PR job that I was totally excited to find out, because a lot of the people I work with, I live farm to table. I don't just because my grandmother, my grandmother, who was a 9th generation Apache Stone woman, I'm the 10th generation, said that if it comes in a box, bury it. So I have always lived that way. That's why I'm not the general example. But
right.
What I'm telling you is that the farm bill that we were just talking about, it does a super, and I mean fantastically gracious, wonderful job of protecting big ag, chemical companies, and pharmaceuticals.
Yep.
Do you know how much good it does for the farmer?
0.
See, you're psychic. I had to read the whole thing to figure that out.
Well, and that's when
I read the whole thing with the excitement, with the anticipation, as I'm looking for what this does for the person who's got 50 to 5,000 acres trying to raise their family on the products that they produce.
One of the things you will find out with all these bills that they passed out,
I know,
whatever the headline is, it's the exact opposite of what it does.
Yeah. Well, no, see, I actually know that, but I paid too much attention to the PR.
Yeah, that can happen.
Guilty. Okay. Yep. And so what they did was they pulled my rubber band back all the way with this PR. And then when I found out what the truth was, I was launched like a rocket. So I've been kind of on a burn going after the politicians that have and the thing is it's this, you are right, it's the same everywhere. Right. So one of the things that I was encouraging people to do in a previous broadcast was find 200 people in your community, and that's not hard. The average person knows thousands. Right. But 200 people in your community that you can band together with to not only work on the issues that you're talking about, Kevin, but also support each other, because we can't count on the government.
Well, and that is absolutely true. I mean, because if you look out the way it operates, and if you just step back, you strip away the politicians, just look at the results over time. The results over time paint a very unique picture. Okay, because then you start to realize it honestly doesn't matter who's in office, because the outcome is still the same. Whoever funnels them the money, that's where it goes. You know, because we are, and this is really sad to say out loud, we are the product. Okay. We absolutely are. Okay, we are the product that industry, government, politicians, all of these people are targeting We as a product, not as an individual, not as a voter, but rather a stream of revenue, whether it be through taxes, whether it be through pharmaceuticals, whatever it may be. We are the profit. We are the revenue stream for everything.
Well, Kevin, here I am, this guy, right? I'm 67 years old. It frustrates me the hell that I can't do the same things that I did when I was 27.
I hear you. Yeah.
And so I'm hitting here having coffee with my bud, trying to go, okay, well, all of that is true. I can testify, I can ratify, all of that is true. Now,
Right. Well, what we can do about
is the 200 people plan the best one, or do we actually have something else that we can look forward to?
Yeah. What do you mean by 200 people plan?
The 200 people is the people you know or know you, 200 of them, that you kind of mutually take care of each other, because as it relates to healthcare, politics, or anything else, those that are doing those things don't seem to even see that we exist.
And that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true, Tim, because the notion that we can vote our way out of this is wrong. Okay, let's be blunt. It's not going to happen. Let's be honest with ourselves. All these people running for office, they make promises, nothing's delivered. Because what happens is behind the scene, they're all captured. It's a captured government. Okay, and we're not part of the equation. We are the product.
And we're not even talking about Epstein.
No.
These people have been captured for all of my lifetime.
Well, exactly. And if you look, throughout time, it's been this way, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. I mean, you can go all the way down from the formation of the Federal Reserve Bank in 1913, taxes, etc. There is a very definitive pattern throughout time. Okay. And unfortunately, as this progresses, it eventually will break. It's a mathematical certainty. It will break. There is no left, there is no right. You cannot undo what has happened. It's kind of like, deciding to get off the airplane after you're 50,000 feet in the air. You're already on it.
Well, but here's my point, Kevin, and you can radically disagree with me.
Right.
When you're riding on one of these super planes, one of the Emirates or one of the other super planes that they have, there's 400 people on that plane.
Mm-hmm.
You get together with half of them, you can actually look out for your kids,
Yes.
your life, your people, and
Absolutely.
say, look, we're at capacity, go form another one. Because I don't, and okay, so insurance, the idea of insurance,
Right.
okay, it actually started back in the ancient hanging market, Babylon.
Right.
Market of Babylon. And the idea was that they would protect their caravans by everybody paying into a pool.
Exactly.
And if somebody got robbed by robbers, they could get some recovery and not lose their business.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So now we do it for cars, dogs, cats, boats. They call it life insurance when it's death protection because it sounds better. I mean, so we have all of this kind of insurance, right? And allegedly medical insurance. But nobody is getting served unless you count us being put on a plate and served to somebody else.
Exactly right. And that's one of the big proponents, okay, of what I do with my business. And what I do is it's all based upon community. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's all based upon a community, and it's of a nonprofit nature. Okay, it's just kind of like, you always make it a point to buy local, farmers markets, anything that you could do on that point, because it makes us more resilient as a community, because we're not dependent on outside influence to protect us. Whether it's food, vegetables, community protections, healthcare, etc. Because you're all together. All right. Because if you're strong as a community, that means that the powers that be have less influence and control over you because you're more self-reliant, you're more independent. The same thing is true with my healthcare model. It's a group of people who come together who, like your caravan, share in the cost. And since there is not a for-profit motive, then you're able to do things more above board. Okay. Because as we know, the health insurance, they have the motive, the incentive to deny care. You have to go through the whole pre-authorizations, etc., the delay tactics. And because of the powers that they have with the lobbyists, they now have protections. For example, if you have your employer-sponsored healthcare, they can deny you a pre-authorization. They can deny your claim, and let's say it's for a heart surgery. Let's say then you do suffer irreparable harm because the surgery was delayed. Well, they have a get out of jail free card, meaning they cannot be held liable for denying the procedure that you needed. It's pretty messed up if you think about it.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, so
if your doctor,
okay, so you mentioned the Federal Reserve.
Right.
Okay. Did you know that almost no community in the United States worked on U.S. currency before 1890?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, they would barter, they would trade, they would do other stuff.
They
But the whole idea
coins,
that we're all being judged based on what's in one of these.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I don't establish people's value that way, but I can tell you that these communities, these healthcare communities that you're establishing, that's like God's work.
It really is. It really is, because one, people going to the open marketplace, they're paying up to $2,000 to protect their families. And heaven forbid you're actually being successful with your business or you're making a good income. Well, because you make more money, you get to pay more. Okay. It's just kind of like you're going to the ER and they ask you, well, do you have insurance? Well, yes, I have insurance. Okay, the price is this. Or say, no, I don't have insurance. What's your cash price? Oh, your cash price is this. So you have a two-tier billing system based upon your coverage. It's not like you go into Walmart or you go into McDonald's or whatever it is. I like a Big Mac. Oh, do you have access to credit? Oh, you do. Well, therefore, it's going to be $50 a hamburger. No, I just have cash. Okay, it's $8.95. Which is exactly.
Well, you need to look at one of those billboards because it's like $20 now for a Big Mac meal. But yeah, anyway, but I get your point.
Right.
And so we have so the United States has had at least 3 national healthcare systems for almost 100 years. Okay. One is one we talked about, which is welfare.
Right.
The other one is the military health system. And last but not least, the one that all the politicians have.
Yeah, the one that
even state politicians, by the way.
Right.
So the thing is that if you want to see healthcare change and everybody be on it, take all of those politicians and put them on the welfare system and see how fast that changes.
And I agree. But the problem for that to happen is we actually have to have these politicians vote for it to happen. That ain't going to happen. I know. Okay, because the truth of the matter is rules for thee, but not for me.
Right.
From the point of view. That's just the harsh reality of it. And it's.
Yeah.
So,
and people say to me, Well, I wish it wasn't that way. Well, my grandfather had a saying about, well, you wish in this hand and you.
And exactly. Exactly. Well, and what people have to understand that they have the ultimate power.
Right.
And those power is in their choices that they make, their spending.
Correct.
Okay. Because every time you spend a dollar, you're actually voting for something. You're proving
Right.
something. So by changing the way we spend, changes the outcome. All right.
Right.
Just think of the healthcare system as a cancer cell. We kill cancer by starving it. By starving it, poisoning it, to deprive it of blood flow so it doesn't keep going. The same thing is true with this. We stop subscribing to the health insurance scheme. Okay. Stop giving them that money versus start going into, your health sharing.
Doesn't most states have a law or a ruling? I'd need to contact the health commissioner or the insurance commissioner to find out. But there's a mutual group, and Granges used to have this for farmers, but Granges aren't the same anymore. But there used to be I believe it was those kind of companies are called a mutual company, although some big companies take the name of mutual. But there's something along the lines of it's legal for you to form a mutual support group as an insurance. Am I getting it wrong?
Yeah, there are those, but that's kind of like what we're talking about here. They're like the health sharing, where basically a group of people come together to protect each other. Okay, which is really what communities used to do. It's kind of like you look at the Amish; they have the whole barn raising. You have 500 of them show up, boom, it's up, and they're good to go. That's the strength of the communities. That's the beauty of that. Unfortunately, most of us do not operate on that system anymore. It's just not. People are so busy trying to work. Kind of reminds me.
Well, actually, it's more planned than that, and I'm not trying to get at any kind of conspiracy stuff, but it seemed to me that okay, so this COVID thing showed up, and then the materials and the handling and all of that stuff to handle it, right down to the toll booths on the highways. All of a sudden, this equipment showed up in 6 weeks that should have took at least 6 months to build.
So
I'm not saying they seem to be overly prepared.
Well,
how's that? Is that nice?
Well, exactly. Well, and the thing is to give you kind of go on to that, because me being in the healthcare, working in it, it was extremely difficult for me for the amount of BS that was being propagated to us. Okay, because I worked in the infectious tuberculosis, being in the negative air pressure room, the whole gamut, being very much aware of what it actually is. And then hearing what they're saying is like, what are you talking about? This makes no sense.
That happens a lot.
Well, he's got to wear a mask. He's like, but you do understand that will not work. And what I mean by that is all they are is spit guards. If you think that mask is going to help you, that's like trying to keep out mosquitoes with chicken wire. That's the honest to God truth.
No. My dad said that compared to the size of a virus, that's like flying a plane into the Grand Canyon.
It absolutely is. And I ask people, says, okay, let's use blunt force truth here. If you believe your mask is working, let me stand next to you. I'm going to fart. It's going to go through my underwear, my pants, through your mask, and you're still going to smell it. And that smell is 1,000, 10,000.
That's just because you're a rude bastard, Kevin.
That's true. But that's just, sometimes you have to bring it down to a context of like, if you can smell it, and that smell is 10,000 times larger than the aerosolized virus. Newsflash, it's not doing anything. But what it is doing is showing compliance. It's showing that you are complying with what they're saying.
Yeah, like when you go through the airport and they make you do this.
Oh man. Exactly right.
Okay. And so the thing is that what I tell them is my arms don't work that way. Sorry.
Yeah.
And you can wand me, you can do whatever. But having been around industrial X-ray and no, I've dated a few female X-ray technicians.
Right.
If it can see through your clothes, you don't have to do this.
It's yeah, that's kind of interesting. That's like the compliance. Yeah. I mean, during that whole time, I actually took some fishnet stockings from my wife. I cut them out and I had the old surgical mask where I actually made the big hole and I sewed in this fishnet stocking onto it. Okay. So I actually took an airplane flight from Dallas into Whitefish, Montana, right in the height of all of this. So I landed in Whitefish, Montana, get up, start walking down, and there's this whole group of National Guard units standing right there, taking everybody's temperatures. Okay. And they watched me walk up wearing this fishnet stocking mask. And those poor guys were almost in tears. They were laughing so hard.
Yeah.
You know, because everyone knew that, because especially if you have medical training, you're like, what are we doing? This is asinine. And then, you know, you start looking at the fact of having to, you know, redefine the term vaccine so that they could call the COVID vaccine a vaccine, even though they had to structurally change the definition of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, what? You know, because they're trying to use.
Well, here's the thing. Okay, so I listened completely to the first time Dr. Fauci appeared before Congress.
Right.
And I paid close attention to what he had to say. And I have to say that even though I'm not you, what he had to say, whether I agreed with it or not, was scientific and factual.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then he came back a couple of weeks later, and I'm like,
What happened?
And the first time he said, look, well, you can wear masks, but this is a virus, you know. The next time he said, no, masks should be required everywhere, and they need to be these special ones
And
that Donald Trump's son owns 50% of the company.
Gee, I wonder how that happened.
Well, okay, wait. No, he forgot to mention that last part.
Yeah.
You know, the CV90, whatever the hell they were.
Yeah, the N95. Well,
Okay.
But the thing is let's think about this objectively. Okay. We have a pandemic that just hit. Oh my goodness. We have to figure out, what is it? What's the treatment? Oh, let me reach over here. There's a vaccine that's already been prepared for this. Think about that for a second.
Well, okay. So I don't want to get into the
Right.
to the weeds too much. I'd rather have my crowd maybe look at what you're doing. So if you can, while we still have a few minutes left, can you give them your contact, where to find you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can always go to my webpage of builtnotgiven.com/home, or you can go to Decker Essential Services either on Facebook or on Instagram. You know, that's where you have all my information, my contact. And I love just reaching out to people.
Spell Decker for them.
Or Decker, DECKER, Essential Services. Okay, and you just search for that on Instagram or Facebook and you'll find me. In fact, if they're following you, we're following each other. They could also go the back route and look that way as well.
Okay. So you have a system by which a group of people can become a healthcare group,
right?
Or I wanted to make sure I understood that.
Right. Is what it is. It's a group of people as a community that comes together to help pay each other's medical bills. Okay. It is a nonprofit organization to where we work as communities should have. This way we're not feeding the beast. We're not giving for a for-profit organization our money, which they have an incentive to, one, deny claims, delay treatment, all these type of instances. So it's very important for us to support each other as a community, just like supporting farmers market, buying local. The more we can contain and do things locally, the stronger we are as a community.
Right. And Kevin, let me point something out.
Sure.
Okay. So the first time that the government, they didn't run out of money. They stopped paying their bills. They did a slowdown, a stop
Right.
payment. Okay. The first time, that was about a dozen years ago. And when the first time they did it, everybody was, the sky is falling. And then, wait a minute, they said, wait a minute, I'm all right. I can still buy groceries. Okay. So the next time it happened, they're like, oh, damn, I wish they wouldn't do that. And now it just annoys the hell out of people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because we've been taught that there's all of this engineering of our society that the government takes care of. And what we found out on the main street is Pennsylvania Avenue, where all the government buildings are,
right,
in Washington, D.C., has nothing to do with Main Street.
Right.
And so it's not likely, because the startle and awe that one party got to use because the other one shut down the government or whatever it was,
Mm-hmm.
That same manual I was telling you about.
Right.
Now it doesn't look good on any of them to let that happen. And so they're probably not going to do that again, but who knows? But what I'm saying is that if you have a government that's okay with letting little kids not have food to eat in their grade schools,
Mm-hmm.
and not pay attention to where Epstein got his product, to play games and magnifications of the COVID problem or not the COVID problem,
Right.
or any other thing. It's like this 100-sided die we started with.
Right.
Okay. Here's what you do is you let them play with their 100-sided die over here.
Right.
You and your friends come over here and form a community garden.
Right.
Community support, regional mutual health care support system.
Right.
Because guess what? Those folks that have that 100-sided die are so busy playing all the different angles that they forgot to look at you at all.
You're absolutely well, because like I said, you're only a byproduct. Okay, meaning you are the product that they're using. Okay, and it's very interesting how you mentioned, once the Federal Reserve Bank and the debt ceiling. Okay, one of the things that I've been very disappointed in our education system is they're not teaching people how this finances actually operate.
They don't teach our founding documents.
Nothing. They don't. And it's not an accident.
They fire teachers who try to.
Yes, and it's not an accident. What people do not understand is the Federal Reserve Bank is no more federal than FedEx.
It's a brand. Okay?
It's a brand. That's all it is. Now,
yeah,
I want to give an illustration here of how our economy actually operates in a real small section. Okay, we're going to make a micro economy between you and me, Tim. Okay, I'm going to loan you $10 or $100 at 10% interest for 1 year. How much money do you owe me at the end of the year?
$110.
Okay, how much do you have?
How much do I have left over?
No, I gave you 100. I lent you 100. You now owe me 110. But you see, there's only $100 in circulation.
Right.
Okay, you effectively owe more than what you're physically able to pay me back. Okay.
And the thing is when they set that whole system up that you're talking about, there was no need for it.
Yep. There was no need.
Now we've gone, since Jimmy Carter, who was the last president that had a balanced budget.
Right.
It's completely flipped, and now we're on the receiving end of, what did they say it was the other day? $30 trillion?
40
40 trillion. Oh, excuse me.
Well, you know what, Fox? It's just the way it is.
So right now, our system is so bankrupt that, how old are your kids?
29.
Okay. Okay. So you have grandkids?
No, I have one on the way.
Okay. Well, that grandchild's great grandchildren at our current rate of repayment will still be paying off what we now owe.
Well,
not a dime more, what we now owe.
The thing to understand, Tim, is it's mathematically impossible to pay it back.
No, I thought I just illustrated that.
Yeah, well, you did, but the thing is it's mathematically impossible to pay it back. And what we're describing here, Tim, is what is known as a fiat-based monetary system.
Right.
And it's been tried thousands of times throughout history, and none have ever survived. Because politicians always vote for things. They print more money. It's just the way it is. And eventually the system breaks.
Okay. One last point.
Okay.
So you have a senator in your state.
Mm-hmm.
Couple of them. I have a couple senators in my state.
Right.
The average campaign for them to keep that seat is $250 to $300 million for a seat, for a job that pays $200,000. Okay, so wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay, so I don't care how many math tricks you do.
Right.
When they say, oh, those donations have no influence on my decision whatsoever.
BS.
I can't even get it out before I start laughing.
Yeah, it's such a farce. It's such a farce.
Okay, so how often are you on? When can they go? I think they should go and listen to everything in your archive, but beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, you can always reach out to me and we can always have a conversation with people. I love talking with people, because that's part of the thing of being a nurse is I'm used to talking to people all the time. I actually love one-on-one conversations, examining what is the best fit for you, because the idea is you educate people so they make informed decisions. What's best for them. My job isn't to sell you on anything. It's just what works best for you.
Kevin, I wasn't going to ask you about this because I don't even know how true it is.
Okay.
Okay. I haven't had a chance to research it. I just found it. I just heard this from one of the charge nurses that I know at one of our local hospitals.
Okay.
She said that the American Medical Association is encouraging hospital administrators to have ice outside of their emergency rooms.
I have not heard that, but I would not be surprised.
How in the hell is this not surprising?
Yeah. Like I said, I mean,
it shocks the hell out of me. You mean, I don't care what color a person's skin is.
Yeah, neither do I.
If they've got a gunshot wound or a knife wound or a cut or they fell out of a tree or something, you're saying they can't get into the hospital to get care because of the color of their skin? How in the hell does that line up with the Hippocratic Oath?
Well, I mean, the Hippocratic Oath, things have happened when you have convergence of monetary interest. Okay, because you don't need a back room, with a bunch of guys smoking cigars, coming up with some kind of a conspiracy of what they can do. When you're looking at a confluence of interest, these type of decisions get made. Okay, because the AMA, you would think the AMA should be yelling at, hey, we have a physician shortage. Okay, we have a shortage. We need to make this change. But yet they're not doing that because it means that they get paid more because the physicians are in a shortage. Therefore, you're in a shortage, you can demand higher pay, even though that directly impacts us. Okay. Conversely, you're looking at, we have NPs and PAs.
I'm glad I have my tribe.
I hear you.
I'm glad I have my tribe. I've got a number of people who, if there's a national or local disaster, a hurricane, a tornado, an economic fallout, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
That we're going to meet and be a part and support each other. But I have my tribe because my tribe doesn't operate that chicken shit fashion.
No, I agree. And I have my tribe too, because each one of your tribe members specializes in something, whether it's producing food, a mechanic, medical, scrounger, because let's set back
I
to
don't know if we have all the boxes checked. I don't. I really don't know that. But I also know that right over there, I have a set of handyman encyclopedias.
Mhm.
Right there, I have the physician's desk reference manual. I have Gray's Anatomy. I have, so if I'm sick or I can't work on something or fix something, the books are right there.
I have, for example, like the old ways, the different books that basically teach how our ancestors are pioneers. Yes, I have it. Yep. The herbal book. Yep. I have one that's also teaches you how to do, make pemmican, things that our forefathers did to help preserve food.
You mean essential oils?
I don't have, well, we have some.
I have the same. Okay, it's a much older book, but it's written by the same guy on how to make essential oils from your stovetop.
Nice. Well, and it's kind of one of these situations when you've seen behind the curtain, you know how things are actually operating, and you take a very pragmatic approach. It says, you know what? Let's say we have a 16-year-old who likes to drink alcohol, and we just gave him a Camaro, a brand new Camaro. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that, you know what? Given enough time and enough alcohol, something is
Those
going
could be a bad idea.
Yeah, something's going to happen. The same thing is true here. You're looking at all this stuff. He's like, you know what? It's really only a question of time.
Right.
Because it becomes a very complex society. And the complex society that we live in is based upon outside help coming in.
Okay, so I can look, there is a history to allowing your military to be your police force,
Mm-hmm.
to restricting the vote, to making it more difficult for people to survive and afford to live there.
Right.
Do you know how many times in history those four things have taken place?
Rare.
The name of every empire since city-states. When the bureaucrats and politicians of that society decided that they needed to institute those things.
How many?
And because there's like 100 examples of this happening in the past, it's not going to happen here.
Exactly. Well, and that's the bias, Oh, because that's a funny thing about it. You look in cycles of people. We always think, oh, we're exceptional. We're exception to the rule. What made you think that? What makes you?
Have you ever heard of a? There used to be this empire called the British Empire.
Yeah. Roman.
The Byzantines, the French, the Spaniards. I mean, I'm not even talking about. You don't have to go back 25,000 years. Like
Exactly.
The timeline is,
Yeah. Well,
and you know, I have to admit that at least at one time there was a boatload of people with some degree of evidence that thought that the British Empire was the shiznit, was
right,
you know, was the A number one that could never fall.
right. But they're all wrong.
Yeah.
You know, they're all wrong. The only difference now is because the flow of our money, the electronic of it, when it happens, it's going to be happening much quicker and to a much more devastating effect because most people don't know how to can food, have a garden, being self-reliant. They have no idea,
Would you like
the
to see
amount,
my pantry?
dude, mine's insane.
Yeah.
I'm like you.
Well,
Mine's
look, okay, so here's the thing, is that what I'm suggesting for everybody, and I don't care if it's vitamins or medicines
right,
or food or whatever, right? That you have 90 days worth. You
at
don't have
least,
to buy a garage and fill the damn thing with vacuum packs.
right,
If you get yourself a couple of big bags of rice, a couple of big bags of beans, we're going to assume that water is going to be available, but maybe you want to do that too. I don't know.
right,
But what I'm saying is that if you take one closet in your house and you fill that with backup supplies,
right,
I can assure you that I and my buddy Kevin hopes you never need any bit of that.
right,
What I'm saying is that historically, I have seen this and this and this and this take place. And so, how long or if at all will this take place? Well, guess what? Empires, societies, regions, city states that did this and this and this and this and this fuse is already lit. I just don't know when it's going to go off.
and that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. It's kind of like an analogy because I've had this conversation many times. Just this analogy: you've just jumped out of the airplane, you're skydiving, but you took off you didn't bother putting on your parachute, and you turn to your buddies. See, I told you we were safe. Nothing's going to happen. But you know for a fact that
The ground's coming up.
Yeah, but you're saying, see, we're safe, we're okay, nothing's going to happen. You're like, but you do realize it's just a question of time, and you're going to have impact.
That's a great metaphor. I might steal it and call it mine.
Go for it. But it's the absolute truth.
And feel free to use my four.
Yes.
I mean, there's 4 stairs down to the cliff,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're free floating and you're fine.
Yeah, you're fine. But that's the way people operate because it hasn't happened to them. Because between these crises is what happens is these crises normally take place greater than the human lifespans. Okay.
Right.
If you look at, hidden secrets of money, if you look at Ardelios, the whole cycles of civilizations, these cycles are very real, but they outlive our lifetime. So we think we're exceptional. It's not going to happen to us. And that's absolutely not true.
And I agree with you 100%, Kevin, but we're getting close to our 1 hour time. And I wanted to, I like to end things a certain way. And
Okay.
so one of the things that I want people to do is I don't want you to feel scared. I don't want you to be afraid. I don't want you to engage in any of that. Kevin and I do not intend to should all over you. And what we're trying to do is give you some information that you can use. And what I want you to do, not if you're driving, if you're listening to this, don't close your eyes. But for the most of us, just kind of close your eyes, take a deep breath, and realize that this too shall pass. All of these past empires are past. All of this is past. You can release it. You can let the energy go. You can allow yourself to be receiving from the creator, whatever you call the creator, and realize that there is a certain power that we all have. I can recognize the power I am by saying I am. I can represent the power that Kevin is by saying you am. And I can represent the power that we all are together by saying we am. So what I want you to do is go, I am, you am, we am. Many blessings. Namaste. And I hope you all have a beautiful day.
Awesome. Thank you, Tim.